Schopenhauer's dark vision of existence begins with a question that few dare to ask. What if life itself is not a gift, but a curse disguised in moments of fleeting beauty? Imagine waking each morning, not because the world is radiant, but because something deeper, something primal, something irrational forces you forward, the blind will to live. Schopenhauer believed that beneath all appearances, beneath all reason, beneath all order, there is only one true essence of existence, the will. It does not think, it does not plan, it does not care for morality or happiness. It simply desires endlessly, ruthlessly, without end. And we humans are merely its puppets, pulled by invisible strings, longing, craving, reaching for fulfillment that always slips through our hands. He saw existence as a cycle of suffering. To live is to desire, and to desire is to suffer. When we lack what we want, we ache with pain. When we finally get it, we feel a brief satisfaction, a spark of joy. But it fades quickly, replaced by boredom, emptiness, and then another craving. The wheel turns again endlessly. Pain, relief, boredom, desire. The circle never breaks. Life, Schopenhauer said, is like a pendulum swinging between suffering and boredom, and both are unbearable in their own way. And yet, we keep moving, chasing shadows, convinced that happiness is just around the corner, even though happiness itself is only an illusion created by the will to keep us trapped. Think of the hungry animal in the wild. It suffers in pain until it finds food. When it eats, the suffering ends for a moment. But then comes the next hunger, the next fear, the next struggle. Is our human life really any different? Our hunger takes the form of money, love, recognition, success, power. We chase, we grasp, we consume. But the hunger always returns, and each victory leaves us empty once again. Schopenhauer believed this is the root of all tragedy. The universe does not care about our plans, our dreams, or our happiness. It only wants us to keep desiring, to keep moving, to keep feeding the blind will. And if you think this is only about pain, think again. Schopenhauer saw beauty in truth, but also terror. He wrote that life can be compared to a man running downhill, unable to stop, unable to control his momentum, destined to fall. Our birth is not a blessing, but a sentence. We never asked to exist, and yet here we are, thrown into a world that is brutal, indifferent, and filled with inevitable suffering. And still, we try to decorate this truth with illusions. Religion, hope, romantic dreams of progress and meaning. We tell ourselves stories that life has purpose, that love will save us, that success will fulfill us. But beneath it all, the will laughs. Because the will knows that every joy is temporary, every illusion cracks, every hope dissolves. Yet, do not mistake Schopenhauer for a mere pessimist. His darkness is not meant to paralyze you, but to awaken you. By confronting life as it truly is, without comforting lies, he believed we gain freedom. He compared the pursuit of happiness to chasing the horizon, forever moving, never arriving. To know this, to truly see it, is to stop running after shadows. It is to stand still even when the storm rages around you, and to say, I will not be fooled. Art, music, philosophy. These were Schopenhauer's keys to momentary escape from the tyranny of the will. When you lose yourself in a symphony, when you stare into a painting, when you reflect deeply on the mystery of existence, for a brief moment, the will loosens its grip. You are no longer a puppet of desire. You become an observer, detached, free, weightless. But the moment passes, and the will returns, dragging you back into the endless cycle. That is why he saw existence as tragic, but also why he respected the few who dared to face it, instead of drowning in illusions. Imagine yourself standing in a crowded street. Everyone rushing, everyone chasing something: money, pleasure, attention. Each face filled with restlessness, each mind filled with plans. Schopenhauer would whisper, "Look closer. Do you see it? They are not free. They are slaves to the will." And when you realize this, when you see through the illusion, you feel a heavy truth in your chest. It hurts, yes, but it also clears the fog. Suddenly, you understand why happiness always slips away, why satisfaction never lasts, why the more you chase, the more empty you become. It is not your fault. It is the structure of existence itself. The world is not a stage for human happiness, he said. It is a battlefield of endless striving. And yet, within this battlefield, we find strange strength. Because when you stop expecting life to be gentle, when you stop demanding that the world give you joy, you stop being its victim. You grow harder. You grow clearer. You understand that life will hurt, but you will endure. In this darkness, you discover resilience. Schopenhauer's philosophy is not comfortable. It is not designed to make you smile. It is designed to strip away illusions until only the raw truth remains. He knew most people could not handle this truth, that they would run back to comforting stories of purpose and divine order. But he also knew that those who face it, those who embrace the darkness, become unshakable. They no longer beg life to be fair. They no longer weep over fleeting joys. They take the world as it is, harsh, indifferent, yet strangely beautiful in its rawness. So when you wake tomorrow, do not ask, "Will I be happy?" Ask instead, "Will I endure? Will I see clearly? Will I live truthfully, even in suffering?" For Schopenhauer, this is the path of the strong soul. Not blind optimism, not shallow hope, but the courage to see the world naked and still continue to walk through it with steady steps. And yet, Schopenhauer's vision of existence grows even darker the deeper you look. For he argued that suffering is not the exception in life. It is the rule. What we call moments of happiness are nothing more than the absence of pain, brief pauses between storms. Like the silence between two thunderclaps, they feel precious, but they do not last. Pain returns, as it must, because the will to live never stops craving. And the cruel irony is that the more conscious you are, the more clearly you see this pattern. Animals suffer because of hunger and fear, but humans suffer doubly. We feel hunger, fear, loneliness, and despair, but also the weight of knowing that this suffering never ends. Consciousness itself becomes a punishment. Think about it: the more intelligent a being is, the more capable it is of reflecting, remembering, and anticipating. And what does that mean? More memory of past pain, more awareness of present pain, more anticipation of future pain. In this way, Schopenhauer believed that intelligence itself deepens misery. A worm suffers less than a man. A man suffers less than a genius. The price of awareness is torment. And yet, we call this awareness a gift. Schopenhauer would laugh bitterly. A gift. It is a curse. He saw human life as a tragic play in which every actor is desperate to escape the stage, yet forced to keep performing until death releases them. Birth itself, he said, is the beginning of misery. To be born is to enter a world of struggle. To live is to be dragged by the will through endless cycles of craving. And death, far from being the great enemy, is the one true liberation, the final silence that ends the will's endless demands. This is why Schopenhauer saw death not with terror, but with a kind of grim respect. For in death, the puppet strings are finally cut. The will loses one of its slaves. But until that release, we suffer. Look around at human history: war, exploitation, betrayal, heartbreak. The will does not just push us toward survival, it drives us into conflict, competition, destruction. Nations rise and fall, people build and kill, all because of blind desire. Even love, which we celebrate as something pure and noble, Schopenhauer dissected with brutal honesty. He said love is not about romance or poetry. It is the will manipulating us to reproduce, to create new slaves for its endless cycle. When you fall in love, when you burn with passion, when you think you have found the one, it is not your soul speaking. It is the will tricking you, whispering lies so that life can go on through you. What could be darker than that? That even love, the brightest flame in our hearts, is only the will's cruel machinery. Yet, Schopenhauer did not despise love itself. He simply stripped away its illusions. He wanted us to see it not as divine destiny, but as a biological trap. And in that recognition, strangely, there is a kind of freedom. When you know the game, you stop being played by it. You still feel love, but you see through its disguise. You still pursue success, but you know it will not save you. You still live, but you no longer expect life to be what it is not. This is where his philosophy becomes strangely motivational in stripping away false hopes. He gives you the strength to live without them. Because think of how much of our suffering comes not from pain itself, but from our expectations. We expect life to be fair, and when it is not, we break. We expect happiness to last, and when it fades, we despair. We expect love to save us, and when it fails, we collapse. But what if you expected nothing? What if you saw life as struggle from the very start? Then suffering would not shock you. Pain would not surprise you. You would take them as natural, and therefore bear them with greater strength. This is the strange gift of Schopenhauer's darkness. It hardens you. It teaches you to live without illusions, and thus to endure what others cannot. And still, Schopenhauer knew there was another path, one beyond endurance, one that aimed at breaking free from the will itself. He looked to the ascetics of the East, Buddhists, Hindus, mystics who sought to silence desire. He admired their path, the way they turned away from the world, renounced pleasures, and sought inner peace not through more desire, but through less. For him, the highest wisdom was not to conquer the world, not to chase wealth, fame, or endless pleasure, but to negate the will, to quiet it, to starve it, until its claws no longer pierced the soul. Only then, he thought, could one approach true freedom. But this was not a path for the many. Most people, he believed, were too enslaved, too intoxicated by illusion to let go of desire. They would keep chasing, keep suffering, keep serving the will until death. Only the rare souls, the artists, the mystics, the philosophers, would dare to step outside the circle and look it in the face. For them, there was a chance, however small, of liberation. For them, there was a way to turn the curse of existence into something like wisdom. When you think of Schopenhauer, you may feel that his vision is too bleak, too hopeless. But look closer, and you will see that beneath the shadows there is light, not the blinding light of naive optimism, but the cold, steady light of truth. And truth, even when dark, has power. It does not comfort you, but it strengthens you. It strips you bare, but in that nakedness you find clarity. You stop running after illusions, and you begin to live in reality. And reality, even when cruel, is a better companion than false dreams. So the question is not whether Schopenhauer's philosophy is dark. The question is, do you have the courage to face it? Can you look at life without its disguises? Can you accept that suffering is the law of existence and still walk forward with steady steps? If you can, then you will have something stronger than happiness. You will have resilience. You will have wisdom. You will have the kind of strength that does not crumble when life reveals its true face. And so, in Schopenhauer's dark vision, life is not about chasing happiness, but about awakening from the dream of happiness itself. He reminds us that most of the suffering we feel comes not from life's cruelty, but from our refusal to accept it. We cling to illusions, hoping they will protect us. We dream that wealth will save us, that love will complete us, that progress will redeem us. But these are fragile masks, and sooner or later they shatter. When they do, many collapse. But those who have already embraced the truth, those who have already seen through the illusion, stand firm. This is the paradox of Schopenhauer. In his Pessimism lies hidden strength. He tells you the world is cruel, and in that recognition, you become unbreakable. He tells you life is suffering, and in that acceptance, you learn endurance. He tells you that love and joy are fleeting, and in knowing this, you no longer mourn when they fade. You savor them while they last, and then let them go without despair. To live without illusions is to live free. And perhaps this is why his philosophy, though bleak, still inspires. Because deep down, we know he is right. We have all felt it. The endless cycle of desire, the emptiness after victory, the hunger that never dies. We have all suffered the disappointment of believing happiness was around the corner, only to find another void. Schopenhauer gives us words for this quiet despair. He says, yes, this is the truth. You are not broken. Life itself is broken. And in hearing this, strangely, we feel less alone. But he does not leave us in despair. He points us toward art, toward philosophy, toward compassion. For even in the face of suffering, there are moments of beauty, music that silences the will, art that lifts us above the chaos, compassion that allows us to see another's pain as our own, softening the harshness of existence. These moments do not save us completely, but they offer relief, they offer light in the darkness. And sometimes, a single moment of light is enough to keep walking through the night. Schopenhauer's vision asks us to look at existence as it is, without masks, without illusions, without lies. It is a terrifying task, because to do so means to give up hope in the way most people understand it. But what you gain instead is something greater than hope. You gain strength. You gain clarity. You gain the ability to live in a world of suffering without being destroyed by it. And that, perhaps, is the truest form of wisdom. So, when you look at your own life, remember Schopenhauer's words. Do not chase the horizon of happiness. It will always move further away. Instead, learn to walk in the storm without expecting the rain to stop. Learn to stand still in the face of endless desire and see it for what it is, a trick of the will. Learn to embrace the truth, even when it is harsh, because only in truth can you find freedom. And if you ask yourself why you should endure, why you should carry on when life is heavy, remember this, even in the darkest vision of existence, there is meaning in facing it with courage. To endure is to defy the will. To see clearly is to resist the lies. To live truthfully, even in suffering, is to rise above the very chains that bind the world. Schopenhauer once wrote, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone, and if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom. For it is only when he is alone that he is really free." If this made you think deeply, make sure you like this video, share it, and subscribe for more.